Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, and wondering if the people who say they love you actually mean it? Have you ever thought, do they love me for who I am, or for what I can give them? That quiet, heavy question sits in the hearts of so many of us. And it's the very same question Johnny Depp once put into words, a question that carries more weight than all the fame, all the money, and all the applause. Do you really love me, or am I alone? Think about that for a moment. This is a man who has lived his entire life in the public eye. Millions of fans adore him. His movies have brought in billions at the box office. His name has been printed across magazines for decades. Yet beneath it all, Johnny still wrestles with the same fear you and I might feel. That's what makes his story not just about Hollywood, but about humanity itself. Because if Johnny Depp, with all his success, can feel this lonely, then maybe loneliness is something we all face, no matter who we are. Johnny's life has always carried an air of mystery. From the moment he first stepped into Hollywood as a young actor in the 1980s, people noticed that he wasn't like the rest. He wasn't chasing fame. He wasn't obsessed with being the biggest star. He wanted to be an artist, someone who took strange, risky roles, someone who created worlds through his characters. That's why he chose parts like Edward Scissorhands, a gentle outcast who longed to be accepted. Or Captain Jack Sparrow, a quirky pirate who wanted freedom above all else. In many ways, those characters weren't just roles. They were reflections of Johnny himself, someone searching for belonging, someone questioning whether people saw him for who he really was. Now imagine what it feels like to constantly be surrounded by attention. Cameras flashing in your face, people shouting your name, strangers reaching out to touch you, fans writing letters that pour out their love. On the surface, it sounds like the dream. But here's the truth, attention is not the same as love. Admiration is not the same as connection. Johnny knew this better than anyone. The applause always faded when the cameras stopped rolling, and what was left behind was a man still asking the most human question, am I loved? Or am I alone? It's easy to assume that celebrities have it all. But if you look closely at Johnny's life, you see cracks in that illusion. Behind the glitter of red carpets and the noise of blockbuster premieres, he carried a quiet loneliness. His relationships were often complicated, sometimes beautiful, sometimes painful, but always public. Every breakup became a headline, every mistake turned into a scandal. Imagine going through heartbreak while the whole world watches, ready to judge, ready to take sides. That kind of pressure can make anyone feel isolated. And for Johnny, it only deepened the question that haunted him. But let's pause for a second. This isn't just about Johnny Depp. This is about you, about me, about everyone who's ever wondered if the love in their life is real. Maybe you've been in a relationship where you gave everything, but deep down, you weren't sure if the other person was truly there for you, or just for what they got from you. Maybe you've had friends who disappeared the moment life got hard. Or maybe you've had moments where you looked around, saw people laughing and smiling, but still felt completely alone inside. Johnny's question becomes our question too. And that's where the heartbreak lies. Because loneliness doesn't always show up when you're by yourself. Sometimes the loneliest place is in a crowd. Johnny experienced that constantly. He was adored on set, praised for his acting, surrounded by people who wanted to be close to him. But how many of those people saw him, the man, not the star? How many loved him without conditions, without expectations, without wanting something in return? Psychologists say this is one of the deepest struggles of fame. When you become a symbol, when you turn into an icon, people no longer see you as a person. They project onto you. They expect you to live up to their fantasy. And slowly, you start to lose track of who actually cares about the real you. That's what Johnny meant when he asked, "Do you really love me?" Because how do you measure love when everyone around you has something to gain? But there's more to his story than sadness. Because despite the loneliness, Johnny also discovered where real love lives. Not in the crowds, not in the headlines, but in the quiet corners of life. His children became his anchor. Being a father gave him something no film or award ever could, a sense of purpose. He once said that the most important role of his life wasn't Captain Jack Sparrow, or Edward Scissorhands, or any of the characters people loved him for. It was being Dad. And that says everything. Because children don't care about fame. They don't care about money. They care about presence, about love, about truth. Music also gave Johnny that same sense of authenticity. Long before Hollywood, he was a guitarist. And throughout his career, he always returned to music as a safe place. When he played, he wasn't being watched as a star. He wasn't pretending to be someone else. He was just Johnny, pouring his emotions into the strings. Music didn't ask anything from him. It gave back peace and honesty. And isn't that the same for us too? Real love doesn't come from the loudest voices. It comes from the people who show up quietly, consistently, without asking for anything in return. Maybe for you, it's that one friend who texts you out of the blue just to check in. Maybe it's the family member who believes in you, even when no one else does. Maybe it's the partner who sees you at your worst and stays anyway. Those are the people who answer the question. They're proof that you're not as alone as you fear. Johnny's story reminds us of this simple truth: you don't need the whole world to love you. You just need the right people to. Because the love of millions doesn't matter if you feel unseen. But the love of one person, genuine and unconditional, can change everything. So maybe the real power of Johnny's question isn't in the fear it carries. Maybe it's in the reminder it gives. A reminder to look around our own lives and ask, who loves me without conditions? Who sees me when the cameras are off, when the lights are dim, when I have nothing to give? Those are the people who matter. Those are the people who prove we're not truly alone. And maybe that's the most beautiful part of this story. Johnny Depp, with all his fame and mystery, ends up asking the same thing you and I do. That means we're not so different after all. He's not just a Hollywood star, he's a man searching for love, connection, and truth. And if he can ask that question, then maybe it's okay for us to ask it too. Maybe it's not a sign of weakness, but of strength. A sign that we value love enough to want it real. So let me leave you with this. Think about your own life for a moment. Think about the people around you. Ask yourself, if everything I had was gone, if the job, the status, the money, even the health disappeared, who would still be there? Who would still love me? That's your answer. That's your truth. That's the love worth holding on to. And for Johnny, maybe that's the journey he's still on. The search for authentic love, the kind that doesn't disappear when the lights go out. His words, "Do you really love me, or am I alone?" aren't just a confession. They're a mirror. A mirror that reflects back to us what we all long for. To be seen. To be loved. To not be alone.